autonomous robots are changing construction. There's a lot of buzz around self-driving cars, but autonomous driving technology could revolutionize a totally different industry. We all know about self-driving cars, right? Instead of starting yet another self-driving car startup, what if we apply that same idea to a manageable use, such as construction? We've reached a point where cars functioning on city streets, autonomous tech, have already been safely integrated. Well, construction sites are even more systematic and controlled than public roads, and will be hugely benefited by the rollout of autonomous equipment. The construction industry hasn't changed much in the last 50 years, and there hasn't been very much increase in technical innovation over the years either. Automation in construction will have a deep impact on the industry. Usually in construction, you see these projects going way over budget, and they take way longer to complete than they should have. But with autonomous equipment, the biggest benefit is that a lot of work will get done a lot quicker. No more construction delays and no more extensions on deadlines. Construction is a very labor-intensive job, and we've seen that 1 out of every 4 workers tends to end their career earlier with injuries. Construction is a massive industry which hasn't really benefited much from a lot of the latest technological advancements we've seen in the world. And so we believe that integrating digitalization and automation into this industry will really transform how it works. Construction represents one of the largest sectors in the global economy, with about $10 trillion spent each year. That spending accounts for 13% of the world's GDP. But the sector's annual productivity growth has only increased 1% over the past 20 years. According to the study, $1.6 trillion of additional value added could be created through higher productivity, and autonomous technology is the answer. The mining and agriculture sectors have been using autonomous equipment for years. Farmers have been using GPS technology to guide them along roads and turns for a long time. Caterpillar have 200 mining trucks running autonomously in the world. They actually say they have more miles driven than a lot of autonomous car companies do. The benefits of using the technology could transform the industry. Autonomous wraps into a whole suite of technologies that allows you to measure, cost out, and do your work in a more predictable, planned, and efficient way. There's been this huge amount of production waste in the industry, and that's not because people aren't working hard. It's just because it's hard to coordinate all the various tasks required on the construction site. Labor productivity has declined by 50% since the 1950s. The industry is also faced with the labor shortage. It's only further complicated things. It's making people step back and say, hey, the way we've been doing things for a long time is just not sustainable. So in some ways, just a wake-up call. The Canvas system cuts production time down, so work can be delivered in 2 days instead of 7. Autonomous construction machinery uses the same equipment as self-driving cars, so existing cars have sensors with LiDAR radar cameras added to them to become autonomous. The autonomous industry has brought down the cost of the supply chain at a transformational scale and pace. You can now collapse your construction timelines, knock out work overnight so that it's ready for the workers in the morning. The trucks themselves can be 30% more productive, so there's less time to spend on stopping and starting. And with more efficient routes, the whole job gets done more efficiently. Plus, there will be sustainable savings. So typically, a mid-size infrastructure construction project takes about 5 years. But with autonomy, they can get the same job done in 3.5 years instead. And where these companies would have spent $60 million, they can get the job done for $40 million. Other things like insurance and fuel costs will be cut down because computers are behind it. So, we'd be able to avoid lots of rework and costly mistakes that will occur due to human error. From the big players such as Caterpillar and Komatsu, to startups like Build Robotics and Canvas, these companies are all using autonomous tech and proving that there is definitely a huge market there. The mining industry was one of the first to begin using self-driving tech. Caterpillar began its first autonomy program over 30 years ago. Once the DARPA Grand Challenge was successful, Caterpillar took pretty much all the top people who were involved and started their autonomous mining truck project. Now, Caterpillar has the largest fleet of autonomous haul trucks in the world. These trucks have held 2 billion metric tons in just over 6 years. Build Robotics is a San Francisco-based startup, founded by an ex-Google engineer that already has machinery out in the field. They've done a lot of work, both on wind and solar projects in the US, and are starting to work in Australia where their particular application there is oil and gas. Build Robotics is retrofitting existing construction equipment with self-driving tech. Imagine a future where you can show up to a construction site, and all you have to do is tell a piece of equipment that you want to dig a trench from point A to point B. Press go, and then that giant excavator starts to do the work. Build has automated several pieces of equipment, such as bulldozers and excavators too. They see potential for automating other areas too, such as compactors or asphalt pavers and motor gators. There are limitless possibilities where autonomy can play a big role. Safe AI is another Silicon Valley startup. They are mainly focused on the use of autonomy in construction projects that are hugely inefficient, repetitive, and because they run on such massive scales, they cause equally massive returns. They recently teamed up with Obayashi for a pilot program where equipment like dump trucks, bulldozers, and loaders are retrofitted with AI technology to make it completely autonomous. So those vehicles now run without any operators in the cab and still get the job done in a fraction of time. Not only can autonomy be used in construction, but it can also be used inside too. The San Francisco-based Canvas created an autonomous machine for finishing drywall. Their reason being is that it is one of the most labor-intensive trades that hasn't really been improved on the last 75 years. So, the machine works to help the crew speed up the process by enabling it to apply materials more precisely and consistently. The worker basically guides the system and tells it what to do and where to do it. Each worker can operate multiple machines, which really simplifies the workflow. The Canvas robot has already been used for the projects like the San Francisco Airport and the Chase Arena. Canvas is starting to look towards the U.S. cities with the goal of spreading autonomy in construction to a national scale. The technical revolution of construction opens up new potential revenue streams. Basically, what's happening is that autonomous machinery is adding value to the customers by having more reliable, productive, and efficient equipment, which reduces the probability of breakdowns and other things. Revenue models around some of these have not been created yet, but where there is value, there is most definitely a way to charge for it. While human operators won't be needed inside the vehicles, their skills will still be utilized on the construction site. Workers' time can be relocated to higher value tasks on the sites. They can be doing the things that humans work best at, like managing resources or telling trucks when to go on shift and for how long, instead of doing the mundane and repetitive work that a self-driving machine can do. This helps create a safer environment as human workers will be out of harm's way. The pandemic has changed the way we operate and introduced never-before-seen challenges to the industry. Where people have to practice social distancing has put a damper on the amount of workers allowed on a site. Autonomous machinery can be the answer. Construction companies are now taking on an increased interest in autonomous machinery because labor shortages have always existed, and now, safety measures, there is more need now than ever for autonomous technology, and we might even see some unexpected uses of autonomous equipment in the near future. Soon, driverless machinery and autonomous technologies in construction sites might even become the norm. I think we're going to see a boom in the use of autonomous tech in the construction industry very soon, maybe in as little as 2 years. And when that kicks in, it's going to completely revolutionize every aspect of construction.